And spawning in the top left-hand corner of side Delta, we have our blue Protoss player from the land of the Netherlands, representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Harstem. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have, going for a 15-15 opener. We have the Swedish Zerg player representing Team Roddy. It is Fjant. We go again. Going for a 15-15 is basically a way to get your natural base on location in case Harstem had gone for a probe immediately across the map to deny the expansion of his opponent. Then Fjant would be forced to take the unnatural natural, either the triangular third or the linear third. With this build of choice with this opener, Fjant able to get a secure base. Now this is technically inefficient. Again, it's 15 hatch into a 15 spawning pool. Spawning pool should soon be thrown down. This is technically inefficient, but it is safer. It is a safer way to open up, just to make sure that you're well prepared for something like a Twilight Council opener, something like Glaive Adepts. There's that spawning pool on the way. This also leads into delayed gases. That's the other downside of this opener. And there are some Zerg players that intentionally do delay their gases a little bit longer, but we'll see when Fjant does decide to take it. But now, Probe is going to be skirting around in the main base, just trying to get a read on what's going on, trying to get a read on the gas timing as well. As Harstem, back at home, is just going for a standard opener. Gate expand into the Cybercore. Standard stuff here from Harstem. Now, Harstem does have a couple of unique builds himself. Harstem is a very unique player, which is why I appreciate covering him whenever I can. He does have his own builds, his own play styles, and can at times get away with some hyper greed as well. I think one of the more notable things that Harstem does do against Zerg players, and at least did do in the previous map pool, is go for a third Nexus before Stargates. Just an insanely greedy opener that we would see Harstem constantly whip out. And he's been able to use that to great success. I remember we first saw that earlier this year in DreamHack Yongshiping, in ESL Masters Summer, when he did that against DRG, and I want to say Shin as well. And he actually beat them in the open stage, in the open bracket. It was crazy to cover that, crazy to cast that. And then when Harstem did it against Lambo completely shut it down and punished it so hard. It was we came to the conclusion that, again, we saw a lot of the Korean Zerg players struggle to punish it because they didn't really know how to, or what to do in that scenario. They tried and failed, whereas Lambo, it did seem like he was a little more accustomed, which would make sense because they're teammates. Like, I'm sure Lambo and Harstem have practiced many times, and Harstem is a little more familiar with Lambo's a little more familiar with Harstem's builds. But now, Double Adept is moving out. We are going for a Stargate opener here back at home. Overlord will confirm this. This time we're not going for that greedy third base before Stargate. And Oracle is on the way. I say greedy third base before the Stargate. If I remember correctly, it was a third before... Was it a third before the first Oracle? If I remember correctly. It's been a while. And it's been a while since DreamHack Yogchipping. And now first Oracle is coming out. Absolutely going to be threatening those the mineral lines. So far, Fjant, he's keeping up. Again, he's just droning back at home. We've got 2 queens on the main base. We have 2 queens here at the naturals. I'm sure spore crawlers are soon to be on the way. We are in position to deal with this Oracle, but just because we're in position doesn't mean we can. It's going to be on Fjant's control here to keep up with Harstem. You know, third base is being taken behind this first Oracle. Ling's going to be checking the scouts. Oracle does arrive. Adepts threaten to shade towards that natural, and so far we do catch 1 drone. 1 transferring worker, but only 1 worker so far, so acceptable losses here. Third base is on the way at a standard timing here for Harstem. Standard timing for the third. Second Oracle does make it. Going to be joining up at the first. We still have shields to work with. I spoke too soon. Oh, the Oracle does take some hull damage. As the Adepts, they catch another 2 workers. Oh god, 4 in total. Fjant, unfortunately, just a little bit too greedy there. Was caught mid-transition to his third base. Mid-transfer. Does lose a good chunk of probes. Good chunk of drones even. Oracles, they do threaten to dive. Getting damage done on that queen. Behind this, we have a transition. Really fast forge. I don't see a Twilight Council. Delayed Twilight Council even. it's coming back to me. Like, it's been too long since I've casted Harstem, but this is the kind of stuff he does. So he's gonna have a much faster +1. Delayed blink here from Harstem, or delayed charge. Pick your poison. We'll see what he goes for. Does try to dive on top of the queen, but we do have a transfuse. Queen will survive. Ling's gonna be threatening a counterattack. We're shutting down some of these overlords in the center of the map. As the ground army moves out, we do have the Lynx come in. Oh, we do get on top of that mineral line. Probes, they are forced into that pocket, but we have the Warpit of Adepts. We should clean this up. We get 1 probe kill, 2. Nice target firing there out of Fjant, getting 2 probes. Meanwhile, the Oracles, they dive into the main. We have the main army between the bases as well. Harstem being so aggressive without blink. Could easily be punished for this, but alas, Fjant's still struggling to keep up, losing another 2 drones, and Harstem, he gets the hell out of there. Again, if he sticks around, he will get surrounded. He will be completely cleaned up. So Harstem must be very careful with his movements. And it is not blink, it is going to be charge. So we have charge and the Temple Archives. Chargeur Archon on the way. A pretty strong timing is ahead of us. Meanwhile, we do get caught out. Force the recall. Yeah, 1 Adept will fall. At the same time, the Oracles, they get in between the bases. 3 more drones. We'll check how many in total here as we do threaten to dive into the main. 9 workers in total. Not too bad. Pretty acceptable damage here for Fjant so far. But the Lings, they do get across the map. They get on top of these Stalkers. Again, there is no blink. 1 Stalker goes down. Nice pick up here from Fjant. Behind this, he's getting saturated on 3 bases. We have 7 Overlords on the way. It's looking like Fjant wants to go for a 3-base all-in. We'll see. That was quite a bit of a Overlord explosion from Fjant. Working towards Roach production. Is saturating his 3rd base, getting up to 60 workers. +1 range and Roach speed about to kick in. I'm curious if we're going to be hitting a timing. Meanwhile, Harstem still staying on 3 bases. Getting up to 8 gateways. +1 is done. Charge done as well. And here we go. Harstem, he is committing to his push. Now, thankfully, Fjant hasn't been over-droning. He's been making units this entire time. Loving You have the feedback on the Overseer. Ravagers are going to be coming in. Sure, we're getting on top of the hatchery, but alas, there's nothing to kill. Here we go. We have Lings back at home going for a counterattack, and we're shutting down this army, getting us up the Ravagers. Sorry, giving us over the Archons. The Ravagers, they pile down the Prism. Oh, they will shut it down. Big pick up. And Fjant will chase this back. Again, Harstem was so committed with this push, and he's losing too much. Very expensive losses. And Fjant, he's going to keep on pushing. He smells blood in the water. Getting on top of that final Archon, he will shut it down. Very good pickups here from Fjant. Again, reinforcing from across the map. He is all in. He's not saturating his 4th base. Cutting workers at 61. 3-base Ling Roach Ravager all in from Fjant. And Harstem was caught with his pants down. Pull him up, Bobby. Pull him up. Zealot counterattack. Gonna find some damage. Don't get me wrong, we do have a couple of Immortals to reinforce, so we're diving on top of the Immortal. No shield battery! Oh, the Immortal will escape. We do catch this army. Good engage from Harstem. Fjant overextending. He does still get an Immortal, though. Yeah, these Ling reinforcements, they were a little bit too late. Looks like Fjant wants to try to wait out that prismatic alignment. That pulsar beam. Oh, and Fjant, he bleeds out too much here in the counterattack, and now he's in some trouble. He doesn't deny the 4th base. The fourth is up and running. We still have an Immortal. Fjant, he's going to have such a hard time droning from here. Ay, ay, ay. He has to end it here and now. There's no turning back. We do deny one of the Archons. A 2nd Immortal arrives. Can we get on top of the Immortals? That's the question. No shield battery. Probes are being pulled. We do focus down the Archon. Hiding as best we can against these probes. Again, the Archon's getting a lot of damage done in the backline. Big warping of Zealots as well. And Fjant, he's running out of steam. Back at home, the Zealot counterattack catching reinforcements, slowing Fjant down. The longer this goes, the worse it is for Fjant. He was so close. He had such a good start, punishing the aggression of Harstem, but wasn't able to really pop off in the counterattack, wasn't able to deny the 4th base, and now Harstem is miles ahead. He's on 77 probes. Building up the Archon count, the Immortals as well, and now Fjant, he's in trouble. He's in a lot of trouble. He's down 20 workers. Over 20 workers. And all Harstem has to do is just max out from here. Just chill on 4 bases, probe up, tech up. Pushing like this is risky for Harstem. It is very risky. Just because Fjant does have an army. But there's nothing stopping Harstem from just teching up from here. Even throwing down like a Fleet Beacon and a second Stargate, going to Sky Toss. Like, the world is Harstem's oyster. Like, he can do whatever he wants at this point. Except for like pushing out. If he were to move out into the center of the map, that would be best case scenario for Fjant, to take a fight on creep even. As we see Fjant trying to pull Harstem apart. Attempting to. Again, good kiting here against these Zealots. Gonna be able to clean them up eventually. Big revelation on the main army. Harstem taking defensive position. Again, very wise of him not to move out. To stay back at home. To just chill. 2 shield batteries, an overcharge cannon. Sorry, 3 shield batteries are here in position. Harstem has more than enough to defend. We get a revelation on the army. Cloud's going to try and zone this back. We have 5 Immortals. Oh my god. Like, Harstem has a death ball at the moment. He can aim with this. 5 Immortals. Soon to be 6, I imagine. We can even get it work on another. We have sentries available, force fields as well. Miles forcing back the army for a moment. The Archons are being shaved off. We only have 1 shield battery. No, but it's fine. We don't need shield batteries. Don't worry about it. We have Immortals. That's all we need. As he forces Fjant's back. Miles trying to catch some of these units here. Fjant's bleeding out more Ravagers. Again, his army just does not scale well. Especially against what Harstem has. I mean, Harstem did lose a lot of Archons, to be fair. He doesn't have a Warp Prism either to reinforce. Harstem has to be careful with this army. Additional Archons are on the way. Again, the Immortals becoming a little bit exposed. Miles going to be connecting. They do take down some of those Stalkers. But yeah, Harstem is being a bit cavalier with this. He's giving Fjant a bit of a chance. The Immortals still going ham, though. They clean up the roaches. Where's the Warp Prism? There we go. Warp Prism now on the way. Without it, like, this is risky. Without that Prism. So we do dance with the army. Fjant falling behind in supply, though. And Harstem, he's backing off. He's waiting for the Warp Prism. He recognizes how risky this is. He's like, you know what? Maybe I should have a way to, like, juggle my units and to reinforce. That's probably a good idea. That's so just wait for the Prism to rock up. And now we can push in. Now we're good. Now we're good to go. There we go. Reinforcements on the way. Harstem taking a 5th. Fjant trying to get in position. Pushing on forward. Does buy down one of those Stalkers. At the same time, a big Zealot counterattack. We get into the middle line. Fjant just doesn't have the numbers. He doesn't have the numbers to defend both locations at once. 5 drones go down. The Queens! The Queens overextend for a moment. They get taken out as well. Ay, ay, ay. You have a Roach counterattack across the map. Trying to get damage done, but we have defensive Immortals as well. Harstem, he has more than enough to defend as long as he gets his Immortal in position. GG gets called as the natural base is broken, and Harstem will take game number 1. Whew. GG. But what I will say is that Fjant definitely had a moment in this game when Harstem overextended with his Archon, with his first push, with his Archon charge, with his charge Archon. When Fjant shut down that first army, unfortunately, I mean, it's a hard decision to make. If you remember, Fjant went for the kill instead of going for the 3rd, instead of going for the 4th base. Fjant, he went straight for the Immortals, and chased them towards the natural. He was going for the kill, and to be fair, if Fjant had caught both of those Immortals, there were 2 Immortals at the time, if he had killed both of them, then he might have been able to break into the natural and end the game. He may have been able to just go for the kill move and just end the game then and there. but he didn't get both immortals. He only got one of them, and he was forced back because of the kiting, because he took too long to actually get on top of the army. And because he was forced back then and there, Harstem, he got away with the 4th base. He got away with a better economy, and a Protoss player with a better economy than the Zerg is a terrifying thing in PvZ in general, even if it's maybe not so much against Terran, but against Zerg at least, is a terrifying thing. And as a result, Harstem did snowball out of control. Fjant was all in, the all in failed, and after it had failed, then yeah, it was just a rough road to recovery there for Fjant. Just was never able to really get any momentum from that moment. There were other times where Harstem was overextending and where he was maybe being a little bit too aggressive, but outside of that, Harstem was in control after that initial hold. And with that, Harstem does take a 1-0 lead in this best of 3. And now we're going to be getting into game number 2 on Alkyone. Let us go. Series will continue. Here we go. I see in chat, is this qualifiers or something? No, this is the group stage. Group stage of HomeStory Cup. Hello, hey, it's you. If you're curious, these are events that did occur a couple of weeks ago, and we are going over the group stage ourselves, going over some replays of an event that has already gone by. But here we go, we're getting into game 2, and spawning in the top right hand corner of Alkyone, we have the blue Protoss player representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Harstem. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Swedish Zerg player, the red Zerg representing Team Roddy down in the series, looking to fight back. It's the young upstart, the up-and-comer. It is Fjant. You know what? I keep calling him young. Hold on. How old is he? All right. I think he's like... Was he playing in the qualifiers? I think he's 16, right? Is he 16? Let me just double check. My prediction, 16 years old. He is 17. I was 1 year off. He turned 17 this year. That's it. But yeah, very young player. Relatively new to the scene as well. Has a lot of potential, of course. Like some of these other young upstarts like Arrowfire, like Eba, for example. Always great to see these young players make a name for themselves. And yeah, he's a damn good player, don't get me wrong. As I mentioned before, you know, that's why I love that he's been invited to events like HomeStory Cup, because I do think that they are invaluable to a player like Fjant to just gain experience playing on the main stage, playing on the main stream, playing with a crowd as well. A bit of a smaller crowd at HomeStory Cup, but a crowd nonetheless. I remember Fjant talking about how he at times does get nervous. Wait, am I thinking of Fjant or am I thinking of someone else? Might be thinking of someone else. Like, but nerves can be a thing, especially for some of these younger players. So yeah, just gaining that experience, always a good thing. As here we go. We are just getting into our openers as well. This time it was a hatch first. Last, if you remember, in game number 1, it was a 15-15 on a longer map, on a larger map like Alkyone. We just go for a hatch gas pool. Standard opener here from Fjant into a third base. He was delayed his third for a little bit by this probe, but not by too long, because we do get it up and running on location. Meanwhile, last game we saw Harstem come out with his own aggression as well. If you recall, did go for a Stargate opener into a faster forge, into a charged Archon timing. Because Fjant happened to already be cutting workers at 60, because Fjant already happened to be working towards the 3-base all-in, Fjant was able to shut Harstem down initially. So I imagine Harstem's going to have a different approach here. Or will he? Now that I think about it, a map like Alkyone is very macro-oriented. It is very much so. Like, there's a lot of bases to be taken, long rushes by ground. We see a lot of split map scenarios on this map as well. So maybe Fjant would be a little bit more economic and greedy, and maybe if that's the case, Harstem can punish Fjant a little bit here. We'll see. We'll see what Harstem does decide. My eyes are on the Protoss here to dictate the pace of the game. My eyes are on Harstem. Meanwhile, the Adepts, they do shade in. They get one drone kill. Good reaction out of Fjant, pulling back. Air Only losing one worker here in the Adept defense, or against the Adept aggression. Oracle's moving out. Third base is on the way. Immediately, Fjant going for a big link counterattack. Now that he's dealt with the Adepts, he can threaten this third. The Oracle doesn't turn around, by the way. Oh, greedy move here from Harstem. He saw the links. Now he turns around, but it's a little bit too late. Oh, can we get us around? We do dive on top of this Adept, but I believe it should be able to shade away just in time. No, it does go down. Big pickup. We get a third Adept. We force the Oracle back home, and we should be forcing the Pulsar Beam as well. Yeah, wasting energy defensively. So again, Harstem just missing the initial counterattack of Lings, or not taking it seriously enough, was punished for it. As a result, Fjant is free to join up back at home. Lings, they get in! No shot, they get into the natural waste. Can they get a probe? Oh, only a handful of Lings. They force back the Oracles once again. The Overlord confirms the third Oracle on the way, and we do get another probe in the main. Very nice damage here from Fjant, getting one probe kill, 3 Adepts, forcing back these Oracles time and time again, giving Fjant the time he needs to actually finish up these Spore Crawlers, spread his creep, drone up, and get in position. But now we're up to 3 Oracles. Here we go. The pressure is on Harstem. The pressure is on to get damage done, to kill some workers, to try to get on top of the economy of Fjant. Fjant, he's going to be rotating over. He does spot those Oracles ahead of time. Queens are in position. Good target firing. Do force a bit of an overreaction there from Fjant, but regardless, we do get some hull damage done on the first Oracle. Lings counterattack, they force the defensive warp in. The Oracles, they look for another way, and they do dive into the third. They get 3 probe kills. 3 drones, not too bad. 3 workers, once again, a bit of hull damage is dealt. But again, Harstem does keep all of his Oracles alive at least. Coming back home with this third one. Meanwhile, Fjant droning on up, getting into a pretty standard Roach Warren timing here. Faster Eva Chamber for +1 melee. Looks like Lingbane Roach Ravager to be the composition of choice for the Zerg. And Harstem, this time it goes into +1 and Blink. Not charge. Bit of a delayed forge here from Harstem. But he does his own thing with his forge timings. Like, at it. It's fine, it's Harstem. Gonna be pushing on forward here, getting a reinforcing pylon. Hyper aggression here from Harstem. Oh my god. Lings were threatening a counterattack, but the wall is a wall. The mineral wall, I should say. Lings try to go for a big surround here. Can they get a Stalker? They cannot. Again, Harstem being so aggressive here with the Stalkers. Blink is not done, by the way. This is a very risky maneuver. Reinforcing on the front lines. How many gateways do we have? We are still only on 4 gateways. We should be looking to expand and take up behind this, but still just a very aggressive stance from Harstem. Lings going for a counterattack. At the same time, trying to dive on top of this army. 1 Oracle goes down. Big pickoff. Big pickoff there from Fjant. Getting onto these Stalkers once again. The Link counterattack. Is there anything back at home to defend? I think we just warped in. Uh-oh. The overcharges pop. Shield Body is going to be going down, and probes will fall as well. Big run by here from Fjant, punishing Harstem, forcing the recall. The recall will save this base, but Fjant, he forces back this army, catches more Stalkers in the center of the map. The Blink, not in time. Pylon falls as well. Fjant having a good moment here. Harstem losing a little momentum. Behind this, he's working towards a mortar production, towards Archons as well. Oracle's going to threaten a dive on the left-hand side. Sorry, on the right-hand side. They don't find a way in. Whew. And Fjant does survive. Now, the downside here is his worker count. Once again, just like the previous game, he is cutting workers early. He's at 64 workers. This is 3 base saturation. He's got a handful more drones on the way, but I'm curious if he does intend to saturate this 4th base. Speaking of 4th bases, Harstem's is going to be denied. Big run by, big denial. Oh, that was a cancel, not a... Sorry, that was a kill, not a cancel. Ay. Harstem a little bit distracted. Fjant, the young boy, he's pulling the old man apart. He's... Ay. That was a big oversight there. That's 400 minerals down the drain. Storm is in production here. But that was a big pickoff there by Fjant. Meanwhile, he did drone up to 71, you know, just under 4 base saturation. But he's looking to max out. Lingbane Roach Ravager, he knows he has momentum on his side. Now, by the time he moves out, Storm is going to be done. We will have, how many High Templar? 4 High Templar back at home. each. We might have one storm each if we have enough time for it. But Fjant, he's rotating over towards the right-hand side. He's looking to collapse on this army. We need shield batteries. At the same time, another counterattack here towards that natural. Rocks are being knocked down. Harstem, he has time. There we go. Cannons and shield batteries are on the way. Harstem getting ready for the assault. Meanwhile, Fjant, he is committed. +2 melee on the horizon. He catches some of these stalkers again, no blinks. Fjant, he can threaten that 30, forces the defensive warp in. Here we go, Fjant collapsing this army. Big storms, oh my god! Massive storms on the roaches, not on the Bailings though. The Bailings survived. They were behind the roaches, they're crashing on 4. They get on top of the army. And they're getting into the mineral line as well. Oh, not quite the mineral line. The army instead going straight for the stalkers. GG gets called. The Harstem is broken. As we also crash into the natural and Fjant fights back, tying up the series 1-1. Let's go. GG. Oh, we, for the first time tonight, have an ace match. We do have an ace match. Again, Harstem being a little bit too cavalier earlier on, if you remember, with his stalker aggression, trying to warp in, trying to be in his face, was eventually punished for it. Not just that, but there were a couple of little moments here and there where Fjant was able to slip into the main base, was able to force back the army. Remember, this game, as opposed to game 1, game 2, the Oracles were lackluster. The Oracles, they killed 3 workers, I want to say, like 3 drones in total. Like, they barely did anything to the economy just because of the momentum that Fjant had, because of how active he was with his lings, forcing back the Oracles time and time again, wasting the energy. And yeah, again, everything culminated in eventually that kill on the 4th base, and then Fjant, he had plenty of momentum. If that 4th wasn't killed, it would have finished up faster, would have more static defense there, would have had a better economy, and Harstem would have had a much easier time defending. Not saying he would have defended nonetheless, but an easier time here. Alas, was not the case, and we are going to game 3. We're going to the ace match. Let's go. No Kung Fu Cup this week. No Kung Fu Cup. I believe it's next week. For those that are curious, there might be some people tuning in like, yo, aren't we usually casting Kung Fu Cup? Where's KFC? Where's the KFC, papi? I want my chicken. Well, don't worry, you'll get it. You'll get it. There is 1 round of Kung Fu Cup left this year, before the end of year, before the playoffs of WTL, and Kung Fu Cup alongside World Team League is postponed this week. It's on hiatus. It's on hiatus because of DreamHack Atlanta. DreamHack Atlanta is this weekend, so because of that, a lot of players are traveling. Because so many players are traveling, WTL, they know that they won't have players available for their tournaments, so that's why Kung Fu Cup and everything else is postponed until after DreamHack. So just a heads up. So yeah, again, a big shout out to WTL. They're accommodating because of the big premiere event. The same thing happened during HomeStory Cup. When HomeStory Cup was live, everything was put on hold for a week, just waiting for HomeStory Cup to wrap up. But here we go. We're getting into the ace match. We're getting into game number 3. The final game of this series. I'm just excited that Fjant was able to take a game. Let's go, Bobby. Can he take a series? That's what I'm here for. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the blue Protoss player from the land of the Netherlands representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Harstem. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent this time once again going for a 15-15 opener. We have the Swedish Zerg player representing Team Roddy, the young up-and-comer. It is Fjant. Here we go. Again, we do have another 15 hatch opener. This makes sense. If you remember, Fjant didn't do this opener. He went for a straight-up hatch first on Alcyone. Big reason for that is because of the longer rush distance by ground. Here on Oceanborn, it's a lot shorter. So the likelihood of Harstem actually getting here in time to block your base is a lot higher. So Fjant doesn't take his chances, goes for a much earlier hatchery, just to make sure he isn't blocked and he isn't forced to expand elsewhere. Especially on Oceanborn, it is very, very brutal to try to hold on to like your... I mean, you can't take the center base. You have to take this triangular third base instead, and... yeah. Understanding of the 15-15. Again, this does mean that the gases are delayed. The gas is going to be delayed here for Fjant, means later link speed, means it's going to be that much more difficult to deal with something like Adepts, as the gas is now being taken after the hatch and after the spawning pool. Back at home, Harstem going for a standard opener, going for a gate expand into the cyber core. Everything looking normal from the side of Harstem. The question becomes, what does Harstem do? Like, my eyes for the most part in this series are on Harstem for his tech of choice and for his build of choice. He has been mixing it up. Game 1, he went for a charged lot Archon +1 timing. Game number 2, he was hyper aggressive with Stalkers eventually into +1 Blink Stalkers with Immortals to reinforce. So he has been mixing it up. Fjant has been playing pretty similarly, being very heavily reliant on Lingbane Roach Ravager. He hasn't tried to sneak into Mutas. He hasn't tried to tech up into Lurkers. He hasn't played Ling Hydra, for example. It's been pretty standard play out of Fjant. Nothing too out of the norm. Not really deviating too much. Which is why, again, my eyes are mainly on Harstem to see what he brings to the table and how Fjant is able to adapt to him and react to him. But now, Stargate Opener should be for an Oracle. Should be Oracle first towards the third base. A lot of players have been embracing the Void Ray first recently, but Harstem doesn't seem to be that kind of player. Doesn't seem to be embracing that kind of style. The power of a Void Ray first is to shut down these Overlords, to keep the Zerg player in the dark, to shut down multiple Overlords even, and to get into hidden tech. Like, with a Void Ray first, you can get into Skytoss, right? Like a fast Fleet Beacon, double Stargate play. You can go into an Immortal-based all-in. You can go into Glaive Adepts. You can play Standard. There's a lot available to you if you do go for the Void Ray. But, again, Harstem has been more concerned with economic damage and map control, and is committing and sticking with the Oracle. Ling is going to be shut down. Overlord's getting in position. The Ling was able to get a full scout of everything, so Fjant is fully aware of the Stargate opener. He also saw the first unit coming out, so he's aware of the Oracle. Ooh, and that is a very fast Roach Warren. Fjant. My eyes were on Harstem, but really they should be on Fjant. That is what, a 3-minute 30 Roach Warren. Very early, very unorthodox. You do not need a Roach Warren this early on against Protoss unless they're going for a Twilight Council opener. And Fjant, he did see the Stargate, so he's going all in. I'm feeling aggression here from Fjant. Otherwise, there's no other reason to throw down a Roach Warren this early on. Oracles are moving out. Third base has been spotted. We are droning for the time being, saturating our natural, taking a second gas geyser to facilitate and to allow for Roach production. Ling's just confirming that third. Behind us, we have a Twilight Council on the way. Delayed Forge, but Harstem does typically delay the Forge. As we do get a couple of drone kills. Every drone kill counts right now because I don't think Fjant intends to drone up too much more. We do get the Revelation in the main. We do get eyes on the Roach Warren. We see it. We spot it. Harstem sees. Harstem knows. Behind this, Twilight Council, 2 more gateways. Initially, this looks like Glaive Adepts, but because we saw the Roach Warren, this should be Blink Stalkers. Or regular Stalkers, I should say, eventually into Blink. Meanwhile, here comes the push. Queens are amassing, creepers are being spread. We're walking across the map, waddling across the map. We do get eyes on this, we do confirm this, and here we go. Roaches are in production behind this. Fjant is completely all in off of 31 drones. Again, it is unfortunate that he lost 3 workers earlier. That will slow this down. But the all-in is coming, and there we go. Stalkers are in production. I love that Harstem, upon seeing the all-in, didn't waste resources on any upgrade here. He's just preserving all of his resources on warp-ins, on stack defense, on surviving. And he does engage early on, picking up a couple of Lings here and there. Ravagers are on the way. 14 more Lings behind this. The Queens, they're waddling. Again, this is without a lair, so we can't spread creep. There's no Overlord to spread creep or anything like that. We are committed. We have 6 Queens with this. 6 Queens, 4 Ravagers, a couple of Roaches. Lings are being shaved off. We have shield batteries. We have an overcharge ready for this as well. Can we pull this off? Here we go. Bile's going to try to force back the army. Good splits out of Harstem, avoiding those Biles. And he shaves off all the Lings. We're getting on top of the Roaches. There's the overcharge. We focus on the Ravagers. Where's the Biles? We don't focus on the shield battery. The shield battery goes ham. It keeps everything alive, and Harstem is going to completely shut this down. You can see the Queens try to dive on top of the shield battery. It will be focused out, but it's too little too late. There's nothing left. The army melts, and Fjant loses everything. With that, there is nothing left here. We're still trickling in a couple of Lings, a couple of Roaches. Again, that shield battery was the MVP. Not just the shield battery, to be fair. Really good target firing out of Harstem. He did focus down every single Ravager, which is why we didn't have enough bios to focus down the shield battery to shut it down. And we overcommitted to trying to kill it. It was a bit of a magnet there for the Zerg. And with that, Harstem is far ahead. He's up over 20 workers. He's up in bases. We have Overlord's beat. Oh, the Overlord's getting picked off. Supply blocking, soon to be supply blocking Fjant. And what does Fjant have left? How many queens do we have? 0 queens. 1 queen in production. We have a couple of Roaches, a couple of Ravagers. Blink is now on the way. +1. Now we can work on upgrades now that we know that we've secured ourselves. And Harstem, he comes back home with his Stalkers and he's moving out with his Oracles. There are Spore Crawlers in the bases. Queens are amassing with 4 Oracles. We can dive on top of the Queen. We can dive on top of these Ravagers even. Like, we can do some stuff. We have options. We have options. As Harstem is trying to prepare back at home. Again, he should be staying back at home until he gets his upgrades. Without Blink, it is risky to move out. So we're waiting for Blink, waiting for the army to be a little bit more flexible and maneuverable, and then we can push. Then we can commit. That's now Oracles. They gotta be just ensuring that there's no drones. Like, feels bad, man. No workers whatsoever here at the 3rd base. Aye. We dive on top of the Queen in the main. We already barely had any queens to begin with, and we just go to town here in the mineral line. 7 workers go down. 8, 9, almost 10. We could maybe get a 10th here. Yeah, there we go. And we can go for the Queen as well. 10 workers, almost 2 queens. Yeah, 2 queens. Fjant, his economy is in shambles. He's going for a second wave, a second all-in. But as he gets ready for a second all-in, here comes the army of Harstem, this time with +1, this time with Blink. Lings coming in for a surround. But we do pull back to the safety of the rest of the army as well. The Oracles are out of energy. They can't really support. Lings are going ham. They're doing their best here, picking up a couple of Stalkers. But alas, GG gets called. Fjant, he knows the writing is on the wall. Well played as well, and Harstem will take the series 2-1. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Harstem as he does take the series, but a shout out to Fjant because he forced the ace match here. He was able to force a game 3, and part of me is a little bit sad about game 3 because, you know, it was just an all-in that was scattered ahead of time. Remember, it was a 3-minute 30 Roach Warren, and very early on, because of the Oracle opener, because of the revelation, Harstem saw it. He saw it ahead of time. He saw it well ahead of time. Harstem had plenty of time to prepare for the all-in. That's why he skipped out on Blink. That's why we had plenty of shield batteries and Stalkers ready in time. That's why the Oracles were able to shave off some of the units as well. Like, Harstem had just so much time to prepare. Unfortunately, it's a risk you take if you're going all in. You know, scouting it is like half the battle essentially, and yeah, Harstem was just so vigilant when it came to his Oracle scouting. Unfortunately, Fjant wasn't able to keep it hidden, and with that, he was shut down. So GG, well played. And with that, we are halfway through our broadcast. We are halfway through the group, at least tonight. I did mention before that it is a round robin group stage, so there's a lot of games to be casted, which is why we're casting half today and half tomorrow. The other half will be tomorrow. We can take a moment here to have a look at the group itself to go over what we have covered so far. And there it is. We started the night with Cyril versus DNS. DNS able to do his best Showtime impression and weather the storm in game 1. And then Cyril just all-in him in game 2. It was Cyril just looking terrifying in game number 2 against DNS. But yeah, Cyril, of course, up against DNS 2-0. Alaze was able to take down Dolan. The highlight of that series was game number 2, where Dolan went for a 1-base 2-factory mass cyclone all-in. It was something you mainly see against Protoss. It was interesting to see it against Zerg, but Alaze was able to scout it ahead of time. Very similar to the game that we just saw, where Alaze, he scouted the all-in well ahead of time and prepared so beautifully against it, where Alaze just shut it down completely. So that was a 2-0 in favor of a laser. And then we had our current series that we just wrapped up, Harstem taking out Fjant 2-0. A little bit more back and forth so far, the first series to make it to the ace match. So I'm definitely happy to see that. Of course, did end here in the failed all-in. And now we're halfway through. We're halfway through the broadcast tonight. Up ahead of us, we still have a Laser versus DNS, Harstem versus Dolan, and Cyril versus Dolan as well. The Duckling. We'll be ending the night with the Duckling here up against some of these other big heavy hitters. We'll get there, we'll get there. For now, though, we are going to be going on a short break. I'm out of water. This is empty, Papi, empty. I was going to say I'm starving. I'm dehydrated. I need some water. So we're going to be taking a short break now that we've reached the halfway mark. Take this moment to hydrate your hydras, stretch your roaches, massage your marines, drain your disruptors, and we will be back soon. I see in the chat, how is I casting this and ESL at the same time? Apparently I'm also on a rerun at ESL. There you go. That's all the casting, Papi. All the casting. We are casting twice at once. What are we casting on ESL? Hold on. Let's see. Ooh, Max Fax versus Nick Rack. Oh, the regionals. I see. Let's go. But yeah, with that, we're going to be going in a short break. So take this moment to get some snacks, get some water, go to the bathroom, and we'll be back soon with some more matches with a Laser versus DNS. I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. Let's go. See you soon. Until then, enjoy the Brutal OST.